আন্তর্জাতিক খ্যাতিসম্পন্ন সাংবাদিক ইউসুফ ওমর এখন বাংলাদেশে আছেন। আমরা কথা বলবো তার সঙ্গে। ইউসুফ ওমরের সম্পর্কে পরিচয় যদি দিতে চাই, দুটা কথা আমি বলবো। তিনি হচ্ছেন এই মুহূর্তে বিশ্বে সবচেয়ে জনপ্রিয় মোবাইল সাংবাদিক, এবং তিনি 6 মাসে বিশ্বের 40টা দেশ ভ্রমণ করেছেন, এবং তাকে আমরা পেয়েছি আজ প্রথম আলোর অনলাইন স্টুডিওতে। ওয়েলকাম ইউসুফ টু আওয়ার স্টুডিও।
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
My pleasure. So since 2010, you are working as a mobile journalist. What inspired you to become a mojo?
I wanted to be a foreign correspondent. I wanted to tell stories about the wars and natural disasters. I wanted to travel around the world and meet the amazing people. I wanted to challenge prejudices and misconceptions around the world. But I went to all of the news editors and all of the media companies and I said, hey, can I do this journey? And they all said, no, you're too young. You don't have enough experience. We don't need you to do this work. So I said, screw you guys. I'm going to do it anyway. And I started traveling and telling stories on my own as a one-man or one-woman band storyteller. I traveled from Durban to Damascus, from South Africa to Syria. I went to Congo. I went to Syria. I went all over the world telling stories on my phone, and empowered me to find hard-to-reach stories that weren't being told.
It was so tough for you that time?
It wasn't particularly tough. I come from a privileged background. I come from a sense of comfort, and I think I was able to make those brave moves because I have a safety net of a family that I could fall back on. And it wasn't particularly dangerous either. I mean, people have this fear of Africa being dangerous and this and that, and it wasn't. I think it just takes a leap of faith. Sometimes you have to leap off something and say, I'm going to try it, and you don't know if it's going to work or if it's not, and it happened to work.
So you have a certain goal, right? To travel all the world, especially from Durban to Damascus.
That was my
to
goal
shoot
then.
with your mobile phone.
Back then, my goal was as an individual to be a storyteller. Today, my goal is to create a global news network of people with mobile phones and hashtag our stories. So it's changed a lot. You know, if you asked me 10 years ago if I would be trying to build a global empire of storytellers, I would have said, no, I'm just Yusuf Omar traveling around. But now I've got much bigger goals.
All right. So come on to the point of mobile journalism. Is there any particular definition of mobile journalism, or do you have any other terms? So people who use the mobile phone, they are mojos, or whatever you want to say.
Yeah, so in a traditional sense, mojo, mobile journalism, is somebody who shoots, edits, produces with a mobile device. That can be a DSLR, a GoPro, a cell phone. I don't really care. It could even be a wearable technology. I mean, right now I've got a camera on my face. I press this button and light starts flashing and I'm recording video of you right now. Some people call it selfie journalism. Some people call it mobile journalism.
Jeans journalism, right?
Jeans journalism. The idea that everything you need to use fits in your jeans. For me, the definitions don't matter. So the greatest pros of mobile journalism is speed, is efficiency, is intimacy, where you forget that the mobile phone is even there. Its cost is very low. The greatest cons or the challenges are audio is very difficult often. It's very difficult to get a zoom lens on a mobile phone if you want to capture sport or anything like that.
And good connection of internet also problems sometimes.
Good connection can be a problem, but it's also a solution. I mean, traditional cameras often don't connect to the internet at all. So I've got a camera connected to the internet in my pocket. That's a powerful thing.
All right. So there are some universal do's and don'ts while filming with your smartphones. What are the basic or common mistakes that mobile journalists usually do?
So most people say that the basic do's are don't shoot vertical, shoot landscape and all that. That's all rubbish. The biggest mistake of mobile journalists is that they start producing television. Bad TV habits. Everything must be like this, like news anchors speaking to the all formal. Everything must be on a tripod. Everything must be 16:9. That's all rubbish. The fact is you must be creative, try new things, experiment, build new formats.
Mobile journalism has become an integral part of today's newsroom, right? And what are the big changes you can mention since when you started of working as a mojo?
When I started working as a mojo in 2010, a lot of the big stories were still being captured by big broadcast cameras. The biggest shift is today user-generated content now makes up the vast majority of the big breaking news stories around the world. And that trajectory is only going to increase. So the biggest big difference is that now the journalist's role has moved from creation to curation.
It's from creating to curation. You have a vast of experience of working in different crisis zones like Syria, like Congo. And what are the challenges of a mobile journalist working in such kind of surface or crisis zones?
The biggest challenge of a mobile journalist working in conflict environments is the same as any journalist. It's safety to your life when working in a war zone. Especially with a mobile phone, you effectively have a bit of a radar on your back. Every time you emit a signal or join a Wi-Fi or do a live broadcast, you are flagging on a map where you are, and that can be incredibly risky.
So you should keep your privacy.
Yeah, maintaining your privacy is very
To
important.
share with open sources.
Exactly.
You also, Yusuf, you worked in Hindustan Times for a long time. You trained around 750 journalists there. Then you moved to London, worked with CNN. How was the journey with this media?
I've had an incredibly privileged background. I've had 5 years of foreign correspondent experience. I was then the mobile editor at the Hindustan Times, as you said, where I trained up 750 people across 27 offices to tell stories with their phones.
It's amazing.
Amazing challenges too. 75 different types of phones in one newsroom. Fragmentation is real. Some people had a $4 phone, Freedom 251. Other people have an iPhone and everything in between. And then moving to CNN, working as a senior social media reporter. Everything comes with its own blessings. Everything comes with its own challenges. I think the biggest blessings in India was I could move very quickly and experiment with new things. The biggest blessings at CNN is the editorial standard was very high. The biggest challenges was big, old organizations have very particular ways of doing things. And one day I woke up and said, hey, you can spend your whole life trying to fix an old company, or you can build a new one.
And that triggered you to come out from CNN.
Yeah, and that's where we left CNN and launched hashtag Our Stories. Traveled to 40 countries.
Yeah, we'll talk more about hashtag stories a bit later. But you widely also known as a Snapchat storyteller, using the Snapchat apps for content creation. And these platforms like Snapchat or Instagram, how they are changing the format of journalism.
Yeah, I'm very passionate about Snapchat. I've used it with the face filters to help hide the identities of rape survivors, but I'm also passionate about the stories format. It's vertical, it's clickable, it's interactive, it's mobile. I think they're really far ahead when it comes to innovations in that space and augmented reality and this kind of thing. We've been able to use it on a daily basis. We curate stories from all over the world and we publish a show.
And you got a huge followers there?
Yeah, we do. I'm not allowed to share our subscriber base. It's all, but millions of people watch our episodes every day.
All right. Come to your organizations, hashtag Our Stories. You and your wife, Sumaya, Yusuf, you buddy are establishing these organizations, which is totally based on social media. And you travel around 40 countries. And how you people are doing work with these platforms? Who are your audience and who are your storytellers?
So the primary audience that we have are 13 to 24-year-old Americans, and they are consuming that content on platforms like Snapchat, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. We're entirely social. We're what we call social agnostic, whereas we basically means we publish everywhere where mobile devices are. That's our audience. Who are our storytellers? They are young, out of university, mobile journalists from around the world who we've physically gone and met. We traveled to Australia, South Korea, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, training thousands of people to join our network. They've all joined our Facebook group. We now have 1,800 storytellers across 152 countries. So we effectively created a global news network with mobile phones.
Is there any other platform like hashtag Stories in social media? Do you know?
There isn't a platform like us. There are organizations that do training, like DW Academy. And then there are social media companies that do publishing, like BuzzFeed. There's not many companies that took the two together, that said, hey, let's train people to raise the quality of mobile video and let's publish amazing formats. And then together you have a nice new type of media organization.
And you people are mainly from Durban based, right? Durban based.
We were initially founded and launched in the UK. We then set up in South Africa following some grant funding from the Media Development Investment Fund. We then acquired an investment from Snap Inc. and we're now based in Los Angeles, California.
Oh, it's amazing. So different parts of the world. Well,
and we have teams all over the world as well. We have a colleague, Andy, who's our video editor in London. We have colleagues in South Africa. We are hiring in the US at the moment. And we're open to the idea of starting some sort of video content right here in Bangladesh. I think there's
someone can also engage with you from Bangladesh, right?
Yeah, totally. You can reach us at hashtag Our Stories or at Yusuf Omar SA. We'll put the straps here. And yeah, we'd love to work. We think there's a huge opportunity in Bangladesh. Massive population, huge mobile penetration, very low cost of data. And there's a great way to tell so many stories. This is the easiest country in the world to be a journalist. There's stories falling out of your pockets all the time. That's how much stuff is happening in this country.
It's cool. Let's come to very specific points like video. Video is now the primary source of getting informations, and young people are getting and consuming more videos in social platforms.
Yeah.
And do you think stories format in Instagram, Facebook, and this will be the primary gateway for consuming video?
Yeah, so video currently makes up a large proportion of the internet. By 2020, 75% of the internet's traffic will be made up of video. And Facebook recently announced that the primary way people will consume and create content on its platform will be the stories format, vertical videos, by the middle of this year. So the stories format, vertical video, is a reality, and organizations need to get with it. Right now, you're watching a video that is 16 by 9 landscape, but effectively, it's going to become more like this. It's going to become more vertical.
By middle of this year.
Exactly.
And what are the main focus points of video storytelling if you are only primary source is social platform of distribution?
The main emphasis has to be gripping the audience very early in the story. Your opening 3 seconds have to be the most compelling. If they don't get your attention, then they skip and watch something else. So that's the most important part.
And what will be your top tips for mobile journalists?
Our top tips for mobile journalists is to create something that doesn't look like television. Build a new format for a mobile generation.
So be mobile for mobile.
Be mobile for mobile. And I also believe this idea that reality is the new quality. You don't have to be in a suit and a tie and everything on a tripod.
You don't need an iPhone even.
No, you can use whatever you got in your pocket. You can keep it real. You can hold it a selfie length away. You can move around. You can talk.
Tell your story.
Tell your story. Keep it real and authentic.
And keep it simple and...
Young people are actually lost trust to traditional media.
Exactly.
They when it looks too
that
polished
is
and
here
neat.
in Bangladesh also.
Yeah, if it looks too neat, they're like, oh, this looks like it's been manipulated.
Yeah.
The really good videos are just simple, clean storytelling.
Now, we already talked about Bangladesh. There are a lot of opportunities, right? So why news media in Bangladesh should have mobile journalism strategy in their workflow?
Bangladesh needs to employ mobile journalism strategies because there is an enormous opportunity, because there is so much user-generated content here. And the opportunity for newsrooms to curate on that will create all sorts of new products. I also think a lot of newsrooms here are quite low on resources. You don't have big enough teams to have a big Facebook team and a big YouTube team and a big Instagram team and hire 100 different video editors. So you need everybody in the organization to understand these skills.
Yeah. So in our team, everybody is a multitasker.
Yeah.
They can shoot, they can edit.
That's right.
But that's exactly what.
But now you
news
take it
media
beyond
is.
your team,
Yeah.
out to the entire organization.
Yeah, we're on the track. We're trying to do that. So you know that Bangladesh has 150 million mobile phone subscribers, and the number is growing up. And the majority of these people are accessing on internet through their smartphones.
Right.
And so, what are the perspectives of mobile journalism, not only in Bangladesh but all over in this region, in this South Asia?
Growth for social media and mobile journalism in Asia. The world's biggest Facebook market is not the United States of America, it's India. And it's growing twice as fast. And we're seeing similar growth trajectories taking place in Bangladesh, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, and across the region. If you want eyeballs, if you want virality, if you want audiences, you won't find it in the West, you'll find it here.
So there's a big future for us?
Massive. The future of mobile content lies in this part of the world. And I think you guys will skip technological generations. Most people in Bangladesh didn't have dial-up internet. Most people in Bangladesh didn't even have ADSL. Most people, their first taste of the internet was 4G or 3G. That is the first time they tried the internet, was on a phone. So you skipped a whole bunch of steps. You will continue to skip steps and get ahead of the competition around the world.
But you know, there are also some challenges of doing this kind of journalism. Like first one is poor internet connection. And number two is sometimes, there is expensive mobile data.
So I think we need to realize
these are
that
the challenges for us who are extremely working as mainstream media. So how we can solve also these problems?
We need to realize that not all people in Bangladesh can afford to consume high quality content, high quality video content specifically. And we need to create formats that are applicable to everybody. Whether that means telling stories in memes, so they're very small, making a video into a GIF, so you can go from a 200 meg file to a 2 meg file. I think you need to create something for everybody here if you're going to appeal to the masses. At the end of the day, the majority of Bangladesh are not necessarily all living in Dhaka. Many of them are in the farming communities. Many of them are far away from the big city. You need to create content that's relevant to them on topics that matter to them, whether it's about farming, whether it's about water, whether it's about all of these issues that are very important to people around this country.
Yeah, that's one way we can solve these problems. But the majorities of peoples are concerning on their sharing the contents on social media. There are some all sorts of issues like fact checking, verifications, so-called UGC content, which is very spreading here in Bangladesh during some kind of massive protest or some which we had like last one, the road safety movements. There are some challenges for us, taking these UGC contents, and what will be your suggestions?
So there's a big problem and a big challenge in Bangladesh with fake news, with people spreading information that isn't true. A fire will take place and people will share footage and we'll realize that the footage was actually from 3 or 4 years ago. People will claim that somebody died in a situation and maybe nobody's died. And there's a whole bunch of instances where people are sharing false information. The only way to solve this, I believe, is by creating media literacy. We need to educate our audiences to help identify fake news so they don't spread it.
So we should educate our people's community not to share this kind of
Exactly.
So the final question to you, that there's a lot of opportunities here in Bangladesh for the news medias, for the storytellers, for social medias. So may we say that selfie journalism is the future?
Without a doubt, the future of content over the next 5 years is going to be selfie storytellers. It's going to be people with mobile phones creating amazing content. And the job of groups like Prothom Alo is going to be to fact check, to make sense of it all, and to provide the insight, the why and the how things are happening around the world. I think it's going to be very important.
We also think there will be a good future, not only for our medias.
I hope that Jamil will come and visit me in South Africa. He is with South Africa.
Yeah.
He's going to come and spend some time with us there.
Yeah, I will love to go there. All right, Yusuf, thank you so much for being here. My pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you for showing me an amazing time here as well.
Yeah, we're very happy to be here.
I love Bangladesh. I will come back. If anybody wants to collaborate with us, we're so excited to work in Bangladesh.
Yeah, we'd love to work together.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.